Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video we are going to do an air plant update. We are going to repot or unpot this Tillandsia as well. This is one of the pink quill Tillandsias. The name is right there. Cyanea, Tillandsia Cyanea. It is the one that has the pink quill that comes out of the center of it. Well, I got this guy last year. He was in the pot and he had his pink quill indeed. The pink quill did finish flowering, and eventually the base of the pink quill just sort of turned to mush, and I was able to twist it off. From there, once the plant was done flowering, I got two big ones that came out, a third one that's a medium size right now, and I'm just looking here and I can see a fourth one coming out right inside here. So what I was going to do today, before this guy gets too big, I want to try growing this like a true air plant. I know it's customary almost for these guys to be grown in pots. I'm not sure why. So we're going to have a look at the roots, see what they're like. And I'm going to unpot it, and I'm going to mount it like I mount all my other Tillandsias there. And we're just going to kind of keep an eye on it together for the next little while and see how it does as a true air plant. The pot itself I've been growing it in has a hook here, so that's why it's always already kind of right side up. It's not growing like this. It actually hangs like this anyways. So we're going to repot this or unpot this. I keep saying repot. It's going to be an unpot. And we are going to unpot it in my new sink that's over here. I worked really hard yesterday and I made a few changes to the greenhouse. I took out the big table that was right here. It was just too much in the way. It feels like I have so much room now. I moved my lowland chamber down that way by about 18 inches. I moved my ultra highland chamber here that I grow my cool growing plants, my Nepenthes villosas in. I moved that over, and I had found a sink. It's been in the last couple of videos and it was just sort of out in the middle as well. I was able to get the sink in here. So now I moved the three things sort of in the row, and with the sink all tucked in here nicely, it's fantastic. I don't have actually water to it yet. I want to eventually get a plumber in here and get some hot and cold water coming in. In the meantime, the black hose that goes in is the hot water from the house if I need it, and I really haven't needed it. And then the green hose is the cold water. And then I actually have got it drained, so it just drains out. And because it's just fresh water, it's just draining out the back corner of the greenhouse. I went under the foundation with it, and so the hose drains. So I'm able to water my plants, muck around in the sink, and it all drains right out of the greenhouse. Keeps it really dry in here compared to normally before any water I sprayed, it would just get on the floor. So hopefully that's going to keep it much cleaner, tidier, and you're going to have a good look at that because that's where we're going to unpot this guy is in the sink. So what I'll do, I'll take you down. I'll give you a quick little Tillandsia tour. I know a few of you have been asking for one. So there's a few spikes, a few seed pods, nothing in bloom at this point. It's just not quite that time of year. Another few months and we'll have a few blooms though, because I do see some spikes, but let's have a look. All right, so as we know, of course, Spanish moss is a Tillandsia. It's an air plant and it grows in amongst my my vandas and that sort of thing. I also have a bunch of it growing up top. And I'm going to be using it sort of as shade cloth. It's way at the back there. I'm going to be using it as shade cloth for my Phalaenopsis orchids. We have my biggest and first Tillandsia here. This guy here, I don't know if I can even see the tag anymore. It is a cross. There's the tag. Never had this guy flower. As I say, it's my first one and it grows and grows but never flowers. It's just kind of a dud there. I think eventually it would have blue flowers on it. Moving on, this guy has some big seed pods on it. And you can notice how they're all hanging with the wire. This is floral wire. And it works really well for hanging them. I'm going to try to do the floral wire for the one that we're going to be unpotting as well. So that's a tricolor with some seed pods. A couple bulbosas. They're very slow growing. This guy I think was a ventricosa. I tried to pollinate the flower last year when it was blooming. It didn't seem to take. None of the pods swelled. So maybe it's one that, I don't know, doesn't self-pollinate or I did it wrong or something. But it has tons of little guys coming out. So it looks like there's at least 4 or 5 new ones coming out. My Bootsii here. This one had the seed pod on. These seeds have since been planted and germinated, and there's some little seedlings which I'll show you next. And it grew 2 new ones last year, and one of the 2 has got a flower spike on it, so that's kind of cool. I'll show you the little seedlings here. There are the little bootsy seedlings. Put my finger in there for some reference. They're not huge yet, but they're coming along. I let them basically get almost bone dry, and then I give them a good water and rehydrate the moss. They seem to be pretty easy going. Just in their little container here. This is just like a yogurt container. And Argentii thin. It had a flower spike on it, and the pods were empty as well. But it has grown 2 new ones on top since then. This guy here has never flowered for me. It is the Ionithia. Probably butchered that. But anyways, it's got a nice healthy growth. I'm expecting a flower this year from this one. This was the original, and then it grew this one. This guy here, we did come up with a name for it. What is it? There it is there. Caputu Medusae. It has a little flower spike on it on the top. Let me just get it here. So you can see it just starting to come up the top there. So that is awesome. This Tillandsia is growing mounted with an orchid. This is a deciduous orchid, and it's just starting to get into its spring growth again. The orchid is there, the Baccaria spectabilis, and this is a Capita Select. It flowered last summer. This whole thing turned bright pink, and I managed to get some seeds out of that, or get some seed pods out of it anyways. They're swelling nicely. It's also produced another pup off of it, so that's kind of cool. The last one here is one of my hybrids, Eric Knobloch. I got this last spring. It grew a ton. Basically, it doubled in size or more, and now it's getting ready to flower again, or flower as well. So it's turning pink, and that's usually a sign they're going to flower. And you can see in there some flower buds starting to form in there, so that's kind of cool. And it went pink the same way this guy did. This one went really pink, like hot pink. So hopefully this one will get a little bit pinker as we go as well. But now what we're going to do is we're going to work on this guy in the sink. So here's my new sink. I have a tub of hot water there. I'm going to mix with some cold water, and we're going to use that water mainly, and we're going to unpot it here. So let me put you back on the tripod for this, since we're done our little Tillandsia tour. Okay, got the sink cam set up. I'm going to move some of these Tillandsia that are hovering over the sink, so I have a little bit of room here. And I do have some floral wire to hang this guy once it's done being unpotted. But the floral wire I have this time is a much thicker gauge. I'm not sure how it's going to work. Usually I get the cheap floral wire from the dollar store, but they didn't have any this time. So I went to a florist. So I'm just going to fill that, and that way we'll have some just nice cool water. As I say, I had some hot water in there first. I want to be really gentle with it. I don't know how fine these roots are going to be or how coarse these roots are going to be. So we're going to submerge it in the bucket of water first. There again is the tag. I'll put that up there. I want to keep that. It's just growing in what looks like a peat moss. Comes right out, so that's good. And I wonder what the roots are going to be like. So, and then this water, of course, will just, if it doesn't go down the drain, it will just go into the garden. The good thing about my drain here in this sink is it is just a 1.25 inch hose that goes out the back, so there's nowhere for it to clog. Nothing to get stuck on or anything like that. So dirt can go down there pretty easily. I should have pre-wet this guy. He's got quite a substantial root system to him. The peat moss is very dry and caked in here, but I'm just underwater tickling it with my fingers and trying to get all the roots as good as I can. Now, once this guy is sort of, we're going to call him airborne, These roots may not be the most efficient roots anymore, and I may find that they sort of start to die off, and I might grow some newer roots that are more accustomed to air as opposed to this peat moss. I don't know if this is standard. Usually these pink quills, they're always in peat moss, but I figure since it's an air plant anyways, I will just try my best to grow it as an air plant. Decent roots to it. Decent roots. Alright, I think what I'm going to do for this is just remove this bucket here. Now we are going to put my sink to the test and see how good it handles some solids. Just see if we can wash some of this off. Again, don't do this in the kitchen sink. You will plug your drain. But I want to get it as dirt-free as I can. I'm going to turn up the jet a little bit. Hopefully it's not going to be too loud on the camera there, but we're going to go for it here. And that's just washing all the dirt out. So you can see the root system here. Hopefully anyways. There we go. And they're short roots, but there's lots of them. It looks like a mixture of peat moss, perlite. The odd piece of bark is in there. I probably could separate these out if I wanted some extra plants at this point, but I'm really just going to keep it as one big clump. Well, the roots aren't the prettiest back there, but they're not the ugliest either. And I think what we'll do now is I'm just going to give it one more spray out to dislodge anything that's deep in the root ball, and then we'll hang it up. So I'm going to turn this to an even more powerful jet setting. There we go. That's got it. 99% of the dirt is out. Dirt will continue to fall out as it goes. A few little pieces of bark in there. Let's get the floral wire. So normally with the floral wire, I use a bit thinner gauge than this, but this will do. I like to hang them sort of with a hook so that they balance nicely. And I'm going to just wrap it in around above a few of the lower leaves, we'll call it, just so the floral wire has something to grip while it's in there. Tuck it in there. Hopefully you can see me working. Yeah, I don't like this stuff. It's really tough, really thick. It's at least 1 gauge thicker than I would like, but we're going to work with what we have. This is going to be one of the more tedious parts too. You kind of got to feel the plant and see where it's going to balance. I'm just sort of guessing at the moment, but I think my guess will be pretty close. And we're not going to twist them together. So now that it's in there, I'm just going to sort of spiral it around the bottom and twist it around and pull it a little bit tighter. Where is it going to balance? Is that going to be enough? Not really. We have to go around one more time. And we'll give it a good wrap. And I'm just working my way up the plant until I kind of find a balancing point. There we go. So there's a little hook in there now. And I can hang this guy back up where he was. And he balances pretty good. Let me just dry off my hands and grab the camera. Well, actually, we'll just go with the tripod. That way I don't have to touch it. So there we go. He's sort of hanging on the same angle he was before. And I just gently wrap the wire in around, giving it sort of a spiral around it until it was sort of in a middle position where it would hang nicely. And now he just hangs just like he was in the pot. Same sort of angle. So have to keep his roots quite moist because they will dry out, being that they're not aerial roots so much. They're used to being in media. And if they dry out, I'm sure it will grow some new roots. But we will pay attention to this guy together and see how he does. I hope you liked this video. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe to my channel. And as always, thanks for watching.